A 160 horsepower bush plane launches like a rocket, cruises near 100 knots, and then slows down to speeds that seem almost impossible for something this big. The pilots even tried to make it stall, and couldn't get a normal stall. So what makes the KFA Safari XL behave this strangely? Meet the KFA Safari XLA big-wing bush plane that seems to ignore the normal rules of speed and low-speed flight. The first thing that grabs you about the Safari XL isn't even its size, it's the sound. The Rotax 916 has this unusually smooth, almost turbine-like note, and before the airplane has even left the ground, the pilots are already reacting to it. Then the power comes in, and suddenly this big bush plane doesn't feel big anymore. It feels like a racing machine. The difference becomes obvious during takeoff. The Safari XL rotates at around 30 knots, rather than the roughly 40 knots the pilot expected. That's a big clue. This isn't simply a heavy aircraft with a powerful engine attached to it. The combination of power and wing is getting the airplane airborne remarkably early, and there's still plenty of acceleration left after that. Then comes the 916's real party trick. The pilots describe its power delivery as something you can actually feel. Instead of slowly building thrust, it gives the airplane a noticeable shove, almost a kick in the back. And that matters in a bush plane, because when you're operating from a short strip, having power available immediately can change the entire takeoff picture. But the engine isn't the whole story. The Safari XL uses the 160 horsepower Rotax 916 together with a completely new, larger wing. KFA effectively widened the aircraft's performance envelope from both directions. It can operate very slowly, but it can also travel much faster than you'd expect from a big-wing bush aircraft. And that creates the first real mystery. More horsepower usually sounds like the obvious answer to making an airplane faster. But if that were all KFA had done, the aircraft would simply be burning more fuel and dragging a big airframe through the sky. Something else is happening here. The engine makes this plane powerful. But the wing is about to explain why it's powerful and fast. What exactly did KFA change in the wing to stretch this aircraft's performance so far? Once the Safari XL settles into cruise, the airplane starts revealing a completely different side of itself. The pilots notice that it doesn't feel like it's being dragged through the air. Instead, the aircraft has a slightly nose-down attitude, with the tail up, suggesting it's moving through the air more cleanly than you'd expect from something with such a large wing. And this is important because the pilots specifically point out that the speed isn't simply a horsepower story. The new wing has changed the airframe itself. Less drag means the engine doesn't have to spend all its power fighting the airplane's shape, so more of that power can actually push the aircraft forward. That's why the Safari XL produces such a strange combination. The pilot describes it as being much slower and much faster than the aircraft he's used to. At one moment, you're thinking about its short field capability, and the next you're watching the airspeed climb toward 100 knots. Even better, it doesn't sound difficult to fly. There's no autopilot doing the work, and the cockpit setup is fairly basic. Once the pilots understand the system, they describe the aircraft as very easygoing and almost hands-off in normal flight. That's a pretty impressive combination for an aircraft designed around bush operations. Then the speed really starts to sink in, 90 knots, then close to 100. The pilots are genuinely surprised because the airplane looks like it should be slower. Big wing, big cabin, big landing gear, and yet it's moving. One pilot even compares the fuel cost favorably with his own aircraft. Think about what that means for a bush aircraft. You don't want an airplane that's brilliant at landing short, but takes forever to get anywhere. You also don't want a fast aircraft that needs a perfect runway every time. The useful aircraft sits somewhere between those extremes. The Safari XL seems to be trying to live in both worlds. But now there's another question. All this performance sounds great, but performance normally has a price. If you're pushing a 160 horsepower engine and carrying a big airframe through the sky, you'd expect the fuel burn to tell a different story. And this is where the Safari XL gets even stranger, because the fuel numbers don't look like you'd expect. How can a 160 horsepower bush plane cruise this quickly without constantly drinking fuel? The pilots start looking at the engine's economy range, and the number that comes up is roughly 22 liters per hour, while cruising around 90 knots. For an aircraft this size, that gets an immediate reaction. The pilot basically admits that it's almost cheaper to operate than his own airplane. Later, the Safari XL is described as achieving around 22 liters per hour at maximum continuous operation. That's important because the aircraft isn't being presented as a machine that has to crawl along to save fuel. It can still travel at 90+ knots while keeping the economy numbers surprisingly reasonable. And you can actually hear how the power feels from inside the aircraft. One pilot describes it almost like the propeller is physically pulling the airplane forward. The Rotax doesn't just provide horsepower on paper. Its smooth power delivery makes the aircraft feel constantly ready to accelerate. Then comes the funny part. The airplane has so much available performance that the pilots actually have to watch the speed because it can run away from them. Around 100 knots, the aircraft is still accelerating easily enough that the pilot points out you have to be careful. More power isn't always the answer. At some point, you're simply burning more fuel to go faster, and that gives us the real contradiction at the center of this aircraft. The Safari XL isn't trying to be the fastest airplane in the sky. It's trying to give a bush pilot a huge usable envelope. Enough power to get airborne quickly, enough aerodynamic efficiency to travel at useful speeds, and, most importantly, enough wing to slow down when the runway disappears. Because that's the part we haven't tested yet. The pilots have shown us the acceleration. They've shown us the cruise speed. They've shown us the fuel numbers. Now they need to find out what happens when the Safari XL goes in the opposite direction. Slower. Much slower. And eventually, toward the point where every airplane is supposed to stop flying. The Safari XL has already surprised them at 100 knots. But the next test is the one that could completely change the story. Can this big, powerful aircraft actually slow down enough to behave like the extreme bush plane it's supposed to be? To find out, they head back toward the ground, check the wind, and prepare for the kind of landing this airplane was built for. After all that speed, the Safari XL has to prove itself in the bush. Heading back, the pilots switch on the smoke system. Not just for show, it gives a quick read on the wind to plan the approach. It's a small moment that makes the airplane feel like a real bush machine. No perfect runway, just reading the wind and judging the surface. Big as it is, it still feels surprisingly nimble. Then it comes down with no drama. Big wheels touch, suspension absorbs it, and the aircraft just settles instead of arriving hard. After watching it hit near 100 knots earlier, landing this calmly feels almost more impressive. The landing gear matters because bush flying isn't always neat grass strips. Think dry, gravel, harder-wearing surfaces across the African bush, far less forgiving than a maintained runway. Big wheels and suspension are what make repeated rough field work practical. That's the Safari XL's real personality. Fast enough to travel without losing the low-speed traits a bush plane needs. Wing slows it down, gear handles the ground after. Everything so far has been about controlling the airplane. Now the twist, taking away the one thing it needs most, speed. If the Safari XL really has the low-speed behavior people talk about, one test should expose it: the STOL. The gear shows how it handles the ground. The wing is about to show what happens when it gets dangerously slow. Will it stall normally? Or is unstallable hiding something stranger? Now comes the moment the story's been building toward. The aircraft is carrying 2 large pilots and roughly 70 to 80 liters of fuel. Not a stripped-down demo plane. They call it slightly heavier than normal, yet that mix of extra lift and power still works in its favor. So, what's the stall speed? Already surprising, well below 30 knots. But the real shock comes when they test it. The pilots say they repeatedly tried to stall the Safari XL properly and couldn't get the behavior they expected. Instead of the obvious brake you'd expect, it just keeps flying. They eventually add power and pull the nose higher just to force a brake. Even then, it's not dramatic. The aircraft simply stops flying and settles, instead of the aggressive brake they wanted. That's when the unstallable idea makes sense. Not because it literally can't stall, but because forcing a conventional brake is surprisingly hard. One pilot admits the experience made him hate his own airplane, a reaction that shows just how big the gap is between the Safari XL and what he's used to flying. There's a contradiction too. The same airplane that slows to these speeds can also hit around 100 knots with ease, and can get away from you if you're not managing speed. More horsepower doesn't mean infinite performance. The Safari XL isn't magic. It hasn't broken the laws of aerodynamics. What KFA built is a combination of big wing, power, and airframe, handing the pilot an unusually wide envelope. The title comes full circle. What looked too big to be fast cruises near 100 knots. What looked like it needed plenty of runway rotates around 30 knots. Pushed toward the stall, it just doesn't fall out of the sky the way you'd expect. What did KFA actually build to make this possible? And what does the finished Safari XL look like once you look past the numbers at the machine itself? They finally forced the airplane to give up flying, and it still didn't behave as expected. If the Safari XL combines this low-speed behavior with 160 horsepower and near 100 knot speed, what are you really getting for the money? After the flight, the Safari XL starts making more sense. The aircraft isn't built around one magic feature. It's the result of several changes working together: the larger Rotax 916, the new wing, and the larger KFA airframe. The result is an aircraft that can carry more, fly farther, operate from rough surfaces, and still have the speed to travel somewhere when you actually need to go. Then there's the construction. The current Safari XL kit is heavily built around carbon fiber. The leading-edge cuffs, lift struts, fairings, cowlings, floorboards, and other composite components are now carbon fiber, with the obvious benefit being weight savings across the aircraft. It may cost more, but reducing weight is exactly what you want when you're trying to make one aircraft perform at both extremes. The practical details are just as interesting. There's a large cabin, plenty of space, and even a lockable baggage door. So, despite all the talk about horsepower and stall behavior, this isn't simply some tiny experimental airplane built to make impressive numbers. It's meant to carry real people and real gear. KFA also uses its Buffalo-style suspension rather than traditional bungees, adding another piece to the rough field equation. And because these are kits, buyers can choose things like engine type, wheel size, brakes, finishes, and paint, while the 916 installation comes with a lot of pre-wiring to make the build easier. And maybe that's what makes the Safari XL so appealing. You could take it out on a Sunday morning with half tanks, fly for an hour, make 20 landings, and barely travel 5 miles from the airfield. Or, when you actually need to go somewhere, it can cruise at more than 90 knots. It's a machine built around the idea that flying doesn't always have to be practical. Sometimes it should just be fun. That brings us back to the beginning. A 160 horsepower Rotax 916 gives it the muscle. The larger wing gives it the strange low-speed behavior while helping open up the high-speed end. The lightweight carbon components help keep the package manageable, while the big wheels and buffalo suspension let it deal with the places where a normal aircraft might think twice. And that's why calling it simply a bush plane almost feels incomplete. It's a short field machine. It's a cross-country aircraft. It's a rough surface airplane. It's a kit plane you can customize. And, judging by the pilot's reactions, it's also ridiculously entertaining to fly. The Safari XL doesn't literally refuse to stall, but it does something almost as interesting. It stretches the gap between the speed where you'd expect a big aircraft to stop flying and the speed where you'd expect a bush plane to start feeling uncomfortable. And that is what makes this airplane so fascinating. The crazy part wasn't that KFA built a powerful bush plane. It's that they managed to make the same airplane feel comfortable at both ends of the envelope. The unstallable behavior comes from the unusual combination of the large wing, lift, power, and airframe, not from an aircraft that literally cannot stall. The Safari XL doesn't follow the usual bushplane formula. It takes 160 horsepower, a huge wing, lightweight construction, and serious landing gear, then stretches the envelope in both directions. And maybe that's the best part, it doesn't just look capable, it looks like an airplane built to have fun. If you enjoyed this one, stay tuned for the next aircraft.